Mastering Colloquial English Through Stand-Up Comedy. Part 1, The Beginning of the Journey. Language is not just made of words. It is made of rhythm, laughter, tone, and emotion. When we listen to stand-up comedians, we do not only hear jokes, we hear the real sound of daily English. Comedy becomes a mirror of how people actually speak. Each punchline teaches us something about natural speech, confidence, and timing. And that is where our journey begins, learning English through laughter. Many people struggle to understand native speakers because the English they learn from books is formal and slow. But real conversations move fast and use idioms, slang, and jokes. Stand-up comedy is the perfect bridge between textbook English and street English. Comedians talk about real life, families, work, culture, love, and funny mistakes. Their language is alive, flexible, and full of expressions that people actually use. Imagine sitting in a small comedy club. The lights are dim, the crowd is buzzing, and the comedian walks on stage. Every word, pause, and facial expression carries meaning. You laugh, but you also learn. You hear contractions, connected speech, and intonation changes. You notice how jokes depend on tone and rhythm. That is why comedy is such a rich classroom, one full of energy, emotion, and authenticity. Let us start our learning journey with Trevor Noah, the South African comedian who became a global star. Trevor uses his voice, accent, and storytelling to connect cultures. When he speaks English, he mixes African rhythms, British words, and American slang. His stories teach us that English is not owned by one group, it is a shared language that changes everywhere. Through him, we learn how pronunciation, humor, and storytelling can bring worlds together. Trevor often talks about his childhood and growing up in different communities. His stories are filled with jokes, but behind them, there is a lesson about language. He switches accents easily, one moment he sounds British, the next moment he sounds American or African. Each accent teaches learners about tone, emotion, and identity. By listening carefully, we hear how English adapts to place and mood, making every version of it beautiful. When Trevor tells a story, he paints a picture with words. He uses gestures, pauses, and repetition, all parts of natural English communication. Learners can notice how he builds tension before a punchline, how he lowers his voice for effect, or raises it to show surprise. These techniques are not just for comedy, they help anyone become a more expressive speaker. The more we study this, the closer we move toward mastering conversational fluency. Now let's move to Kevin Hart, an American comedian known for his energy and honesty. Kevin uses his own life, his family, his kids, and his fears, to make people laugh. His English is full of informal expressions, quick rhythm, and emotional tone. When he talks, he exaggerates sounds, repeats words, and changes volume constantly. Listening to him helps learners understand how rhythm and emotion shape meaning in spoken English. Kevin Hart's storytelling shows us the power of emotion in communication. He doesn't just say words, he performs them. Every line feels alive because he adds feelings, body language, and rhythm. For English learners, this teaches an important rule: to sound natural, you must feel what you say. You must use tone to express mood, not just vocabulary. Kevin helps us see that fluency means more than grammar, it means connection. Another important lesson from Kevin is his use of colloquial expressions, the ones we hear in daily life. Words like man, you know, or for real often appear in his speech. They sound small, but they make conversations flow smoothly. These filler phrases help English sound natural and friendly. Learners can practice them to soften their speech and sound more like native speakers. Kevin's humor makes these lessons unforgettable. Comedy teaches rhythm, and rhythm teaches timing. Kevin Hart's jokes depend on pauses, beats, and reactions from the audience. When he tells a story, he waits just long enough before the punchline. This pause builds tension and excitement. For language learners, timing is everything. A pause can make your speech clearer and more confident. So while we laugh with Kevin, we also train our ear for the natural rhythm of English conversation. Listening to stand-up comedy also helps us with intonation, how our voice rises and falls. Kevin's voice goes up when he's excited, and down when he's serious or disappointed. These changes show feeling without using extra words. In real conversations, native speakers do this all the time. When learners copy that rhythm, their speech sounds smoother and more expressive. Comedy becomes a fun exercise for mastering this hidden music of English. Let's move across the ocean now, to the United Kingdom, where Ricky Gervais turns everyday sarcasm into art. British comedy often uses irony and understatement. Instead of shouting or exaggerating, comedians like Ricky speak in calm, clever tones. They make fun of themselves and their society using dry humor. This teaches learners about subtlety, how to be funny and expressive using few words. It's a masterclass in tone control. Ricky's comedy helps us understand how cultural context shapes English. British humor often hides emotion behind calm words. When Ricky tells a joke, the laughter comes from what he doesn't say as much as what he does. For learners, this is an invitation to listen deeply. Notice how the same sentence can sound polite, rude, or funny depending on tone. This level of awareness helps learners become sensitive to the emotional side of English. British comedians also show us the art of understatement. Instead of saying something is amazing, they might say, not bad. This is part of British politeness, being modest and indirect. Understanding this helps learners communicate naturally with native speakers. Comedy becomes a cultural guide, showing when to exaggerate and when to hold back. It is both language training and cultural exploration in one stage. Next, let's visit Ellen DeGeneres, known for her friendly, observational comedy. Ellen's humor is soft, conversational, and full of daily life moments. She speaks in clear, simple English that is perfect for learners. Her tone is kind and her rhythm steady. Listening to Ellen helps learners feel how native speakers chat casually, using humor as a bridge between people. She reminds us that comedy doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. Ellen's stories often begin with a small idea, something that happened at home, or a thought during shopping, and then grow into something funny and true. Her English feels natural because it sounds like everyday talk. She uses contractions like I'm instead of I am and says things the way real people do. This helps learners hear the flow of real conversation. Through her, we learn that fluency is not speed, it's comfort. Her style also teaches the art of kindness in language. Even when she jokes, Ellen rarely mocks people. She makes fun of herself more often than others. This teaches learners a valuable lesson: humor can unite, not divide. Using English with kindness and empathy makes communication smoother and relationships stronger. Comedy, then, becomes not just entertainment, but a tool for emotional intelligence. As we listen to different comedians, we discover that each one teaches a unique part of English. Trevor Noah shows us cultural flexibility. Kevin Hart teaches rhythm and emotion. Ricky Gervais reveals subtlety and irony. Ellen DeGeneres models friendly and clear conversation. Together, they form a full classroom of real-life English, where laughter is the teacher, and every story is a lesson in how people truly speak. Comedy also helps us understand body language, which is an invisible part of communication. Watch how comedians move their hands, eyes, and face when they speak. These gestures support their words. They make ideas clearer and feelings stronger. Learners can copy this in their own practice, using hand movements to explain, smiling while talking, or raising eyebrows to show surprise. It makes speaking English feel more natural and confident.